And the second wave of coronavirus has hit India very hard. The government did not go for a nationwide lockdown like last year. The economic cost of restricted lockdowns this year will be substantial as well. How does the world see India's struggle against deadly virus, and does it still hold a promising and economically prosperous future? To talk all that and much more, today we are joined by Punit Renjen. He is the Indian-born CEO of Deloitte. Punit Renjen was raised in Rohtak in North India in the state of Haryana. Well, good morning to you, Mr. Renjen. First of all, I would like to ask you, overall, the second wave of corona, actually, it is going to hurt GDP. Now, many overall predictions are also coming. What are your comments? Are you still bullish on Indian economy?
In the longer term, I am very bullish on India. I've said this before, I will say it again. I believe India has all the ingredients to be a $5 trillion economy. India will prevail. We will get beyond this wave. We will learn lessons. I think we do have to invest. The health infrastructure has been underinvested for decades. And I think we have to invest in our own unique Indian way, like what we're trying to do here in this pilot with Karnal, leveraging the ASHA workers as an example. I think they're just wonderful. They do wonderful work. Leveraging the capabilities, the talent of the 200 medical students, being creative, leveraging technology like we did with the command center. I think the future for India is very bright, and we will get beyond this. And I think we will get to a point where we will be growing at double-digit rates, which was what the prediction was before the second wave.
Mr. Renjen, well, you are bullish on Indian economy, and a lot has happened over the last few years. But still, India, should it aim for being a $5 trillion economy at all or not?
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is India's century. I'm convinced about this. We're going through a difficult time. The whole world is going through a difficult time. This is not an Indian issue. This is a global issue. The United States went through its waves back in the fall. There are other countries that are going through this. This is a global pandemic. But this is India's century. In the long arc of history, we will look back and we will say this was when India took its rightful place as a leading nation.
Well, Punit, economic growth in some Asian countries is also coming down, including China, where growth is coming down a bit. Japan has actually also registered fall in growth. Is it a cause for concern overall as compared to India? What's your views on Asian economy?
Well, I mean, you can't draw conclusions at a macro level for Asia. Every economy is different. In Japan, there are demographic reasons. In China, there are demographic reasons why growth may be slowing in the short term. In India, we have still a very young population, a very talented population. So I believe the conditions in India are ripe for growth after we tackle the pandemic. It is really important that we tackle the COVID crisis because if you don't tackle it, I think growth will be delayed. So it's really imperative that we take care of the COVID crisis. And after that, in the long arc of history, I believe, as I said, this will be India's century.
Well, you're heading a global company with over 300,000 employees spread worldwide. Overall, how has the coronavirus pandemic changed the way business is conducted? How has it changed for you as well?
COVID-19 has been terrible. It was disruptive, but it was also in some respects affirming. It disrupted business. We have 300,000 professionals that call Deloitte home. We had to take them remote so that we could serve our clients remotely. And we have done that. I'm very proud of my Deloitte colleagues. They've been very resilient and they have served clients with distinction. And so that was a big disruption. And we will have to go back to a model that will look different than what it looked pre-pandemic. Let me talk a little bit about some of the affirming items. The pandemic has affirmed digitization. There has been more digitization in the last few years than last few months than there have been in the last few years. That's been an affirmation. So technology-enabled secular growth, I believe, is here to stay. And it has been affirmed, in fact, sped up by the pandemic. The other interesting thing about the pandemic has been that it has given us all, at an individual level, at a company level, at a societal level, a chance to reassess. And there are big issues like climate, there are big issues like inequality, like systemic racism, and it is incumbent on us to come out of this pandemic and build back better. Do things differently, address climate, address income inequality, address systemic racism. And I think that has been the silver lining of this very terrible pandemic.
Well, it hit you personally as well, Punit, as we understand your mother was down with COVID. Then you brought out some overall schemes to help COVID patients in India. Deloitte also stepped in. Please tell us about this Sanjeevani project, which you launched with Haryana government.
The Sanjeevani program, or the LIFE project, started because we saw that there was a crush on the hospital and health infrastructure, and there was a sense of panic, if you will. And what we discovered in one district in Karnal 3-4 weeks ago is that 90% of the patients could be treated through home care. And so the program is really focused on making sure that health capabilities and health assistance goes to people in need, particularly in rural communities and underserved communities. And that is what the premise of the program is to reach out, use all the capabilities that are available in India, that are unique to India, and then apply them and get them to patients so that they can recover appropriately at home. So that's the premise of the program. And the program has 4 interrelated elements that are very unique in a way. The first is the fact that we have set up a command and control center that monitors what is happening in the district and that monitors the health of the patients. The second is a virtual health network. We deputized 200 working with the government of Haryana, working with the PHFI, the Public Health Foundation of India, and PGIMS, which is the top medical institute in Haryana. We deputized 200 medical students that call 30 to 35 patients twice a day and track them. We created 6,500 home kits that have things like oximeters, thermometers, basic medicines, and got them out to the communities, the underserved communities. We leveraged the ASHA network and the Anganwadi network to get the information out, and we established a COVID hotline. The third aspect was a tiered health approach so that everybody doesn't come to the main hospital in Karnal. We've set up isolation wards, again, working with the government of Haryana. We hired 8 advanced life support ambulances that are in each zilla, so people have confidence that if they need them, they can be transported with speed to the main hospital. And we supplied 240 oxygen concentrators so that every isolation ward has oxygen available. And then the fourth was education and awareness. Now, we've done this. Deloitte has done all of this pro bono, all the equipment, the oxygen concentrators, the home health kits. We provided a stipend to the 200 medical students, a stipend to the ASHA workers. This has been done pro bono by Deloitte. But I think the interesting thing is fit for purpose, leveraging what is unique to India to get healthcare to where it is needed, particularly in rural and underserved communities.
One last question before we let you go, Punit. Was the lockdown removal this time right approach? Because the country did not go for nationwide lockdown and it was only restricted to some places and states did their own lockdowns. Was that the right approach as far as you think about it?
Sumit, I am not in India. I don't know the details of what is happening in India. And so it is very difficult for me to comment on that. And any comment that I make from here in the United States would certainly not be a very informed comment. All I can say is that we need to respond. This is one way to respond, leveraging what the capabilities, the unique capabilities of India are. And what it also does is that it leads to the intermediate, and you implied the point that what happens in the third wave. And what happens, can we leverage this for primary care in India? And the answer, I believe, is yes.
Well, thanks, Punit, for joining us from US for this excellent conversation. And good to know that you are still bullish on India and you say that India should not leave the aim to be $5 trillion economy. Thank you for joining us once again. WION now available in your country. Download the app and get all the news on the move.